Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. I think we'll probably have a few people still logging in, but we'll go ahead and get going. My name's Kathy, for those of you that I haven't spoken with before, and I'll be doing your Customer Central training today. Currently, I have everybody muted, and that's just to prevent feedback, because it can get pretty bad if we have everybody unmuted. But what I'll do is I'm planning to stop after each tab in the Customer Central to see if anybody has questions. When I do that, I'd appreciate it if you would use your hand raise button that's on your panel. And when you do that, I'll unmute you and ask your question. That way everybody can hear all of the questions, which is helpful to everyone. If you do send a question through the question section or the chat, I may have to email you later after the webinar on those because I can't really do both at the same time. So I'll go ahead and answer your questions through the hand raises for now and take care of anything else that I need to later. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. And at the top of your screen, what you'll notice now is that you'll have an icon with, that's black with the red on it. If you click on that icon, that's going to take you into Customer Central. And what this was designed for was so that you could get all of the information you needed and to be able to do just about anything you needed to for a customer all from one screen. So everything's centrally located, and it's an easy place to work from. One of the things I want to point out is that the user that I'm using right now has access to everything in the program. Therefore, I have access to everything in Customer Central. The way Customer Central is designed is that, for example, if you do not normally have access to create an order or create a dispatch or open a work order, and anything like that, maybe a credit release authorization, then you would also not have those tabs available to you in Customer Central. So that just keeps everything the same from a user management point of view as it does throughout the rest of the program. I will be covering everything that's in there, and hopefully that'll take care of everybody that's in the training today. So when you get into the Customer Central screen, the first thing it takes you to is Customer Info. The branch is going to default, and then you can enter your customer number or use your search and select your ship to. The first screen in this program is really basic information that's pulled from the customer master as well as an aging. So you'll have all of the address and phone number information, the sales and pricing classes, if there's any special instructions, and it'll tell you when the account was opened and the last sale, your payment terms, and if you have any discount and add-on codes set up for them. Then over on the left, it will tell you what the credit limit is, whether POs are required, do you accept checks, are they taxable, and some other information as well, what their tax authority is, and if they have an insurance certificate and what the expiration date is. So these are just basic things that are normally viewed through the credit customer master. Down at the bottom, you have an aging that shows you what they currently owe, and you can see those totals by invoice date or due date, just like you can through the credit menu in the credit analysis. From this screen, one of the things that you can do is create an order, and that's going to take you to the sales order screen. This is no different than what you're used to for the sales order. It's just a quick way to get to it, and it'll automatically pull in the customer number that was selected. You also have the option here to create a dispatch, so that's going to take you to the call entry log, and again pull in the customer information so that you can continue creating the dispatch call from there. And the option for opening a work order, which just takes you to the regular work order header that you would normally do through the service work order header menu as opposed to Dispatch Central. Again, any of those items that you don't currently have access to, you would not have access to them through Customer Central. So this is really just good standard information about that customer. And again, what I had mentioned earlier as far as the questions, I'm going to go through each tab and then stop for questions. I know that's stopping a lot, but that way there won't be any confusion about which screen that you're asking questions about. So if you have any questions about this screen, can you raise your hand? Okay, doesn't look like we have any questions on that one, so I'll go on to the next tab. The next item is open work orders and quotes. And you'll notice that I have the red boxes just like you've seen throughout other places in the program like dispatch and customer specific. If there's information for that customer, then you'll have the red box, and if there isn't, then you won't on the screens that use that method. If I unclick my open work orders, of course I don't have anything, and that lets me look at either quotes or work orders or both. When you have your open work order list up, you can sort by any of these columns, and one thing that's a little different in the customer dispatch is that you can easily tell what your sort is in these screens because he's put a little triangle here to let you know which column you're sorting by. And of course it reverses the sort if you click it twice. So from this screen you can double click on a work order, and that's going to take you to the regular work order inquire so that you can go into job summary and view all of the information on that work order just like you could from the normal service menu. And then from here, of course, you can print the preview or review and look at the details just like you normally would. When you exit back out, it'll take you back out to the open work order quote screen. The other option that you have is to look at just quotes. And on these, if you double click on a quote, this also takes you to an inquire screen so you can see what's on that quote currently. Down at the bottom of this screen, you have the same options with an additional one. You can create an order, you can create a dispatch, or open a work order, but you also have the option to open a work order detail. And what that takes you to is the same screen that is your work order detail entry from the service menu or your shop requisitions from the order entry menu. So right from this screen, you can go ahead and post parts to this work order. And of course, cancel will take you back out. Does anybody have any questions on that screen? If so, go ahead and raise your hand. It looks like there might be a couple of questions in the question log. I'll go ahead and look and see in case anybody's having trouble. Okay, doesn't look like it. All right, no questions on that screen. I'm going to go ahead and move on. The next tab is your open documents, and this has quite a bit of information on it. This is where you can look at open parts, orders, quotes, or POs, or open equipment, orders, quotes, and POs for this customer. So currently I have parts orders selected, and you can see the order number in the reference field here. Again, you can sort these columns. If you double click on an order, it's going to take you to the order update screen that's in the order entry menu and let you complete this order or add things to it. One of the other things you can do is if you want to search for a specific part that's on order, so for example, I'll go ahead and put a part number in here. And if you put a part number in a manufacturer and you hit search, that's going to give you a list of all of the orders that that part is currently on that are open in the system. And again, you can sort in this screen. And a double click will also take you to the order update screen. One thing I wanted to point out too, and this is a good screen to do that from, any screen that looks like a grid like this, you can click on a record and use the Excel button at the top to export that to Excel and create a report. And just like the Excel reports throughout the rest of the program, it'll put your column headers as the titles on your report, and you can obviously manipulate that report however you need to once it's over in Excel. Okay, so the other thing that you have the option to look at in here is if you have any parts quotes, and you can see those as well. And the thing that's different with these is when you double click on one that's a quote, it's going to take you to the quote maintenance screen for sales orders, where you can update the quote, convert it to an order, or return, or make a copy of it, or delete it. So again, just a quick way to get to that screen from there. And you also have the options for POs. Now the open POs, the way this is going to look, if you have a sales order where an EBO purchase order was created for this customer, what you'll see is the reference column is going to be the sales order number, and the Our PO column is going to be the PO number. When you double-click on that line, that's going to take you to Document Display, where it'll show you the record that was created for that PO, and you can double-click on it, and that's going to take you to the PO itself. So you can print it out or do whatever you need to from there. The way it's going to look if it's a shop job PO to a work order is that your reference column will be the work order number, and again the Our PO column will be the shop job PO number, and again you can double click and get to the PO from there. So this is showing you all open POs, parts POs for that customer. If you choose equipment orders, that's going to show any equipment orders that are still open in the sales order entry, and if you double click, it'll take you to order update, where you can complete that sales order. If you go to quotes, that's going to show you any equipment quotes, and again you can convert them, update the quote or convert them to a return, make a copy, or delete the quote. And open POs, of course, will show you any open equipment POs for this customer. That's going to take you to the document so you can view and print it from there. And then again from this screen, you have the option to create an order or a dispatch or open a work order from there. So if anybody has any questions about that screen, go ahead and raise your hand. All right, doesn't look like it, so I'll go on to the next one. The next screen is for the PM schedule, and what this is showing you is any of the units that this customer has set up in the scheduled maintenance master. So you can click on a machine, and any information that's available for that machine will show up at the top as you click on the different machines. So you can see it'll show what the type is, whether it's daily or monthly, or daily or hourly, and what the frequency is, the estimated hours per week, and the actual hours per week if you're doing anything by hours. And that'll show you your information over in the right. And then also from this screen, you can create an order or a dispatch or open a work order. So this is really just a PM master list, more or less. Any questions on that screen? Okay, and the next one is customer specific, and this comes from the customer specific that's normally entered through the credit customer master, or if you have that option available to you through sales orders and work orders, you would also have it here. From this screen, if you want to add a new record to a department, you can click on Add Info and add anything in for the parts, service, rentals, or equipment department. This is tied to the way your user environmental variable is set up now. So if you normally only have access to enter parts notes and things like that, that's what you would have access to through here. You can also add on a discount code, override amount, and if a PO is required, you can select that, and you can also put a standard PO number in here. And your notes, of course, would go at the bottom. Also from here, if there's already records in there, you can click on a record and click Modify Info so that you can make changes. And when you make changes to any of the records, you'll want to click Refresh Info, and when you do that, that's what will show it to you in this screen. That's what refreshes it. The other button you have access to in here is Site Info, and that's site notes for that customer. And where that comes from is under the service menu in the machine maintenance schedule, the site notes option. So whatever's entered there is what will show up over here. And then from this screen also you have the ability to create an order, a dispatch, or open a work order. Any questions regarding that screen? You can go ahead and raise your hand. I thought I saw a hand a moment ago, but it looked like it went away. Maybe somebody raised it by mistake. Okay, I'll go ahead and go on to the next screen. The next thing I want to talk about is the Contacts tab. And what this is what you would normally see under the Customer Master email addresses. And if you have access to that, you can see that here, and also add and remove email addresses from here, where of course you'll put in the customer information and ship to will default, but you would select a department, put in the email name and address, what type of emails they get, whether they're an invoice contact or a PO contact, or just a valid contact name to be used through sales orders and work orders. And then if you want a default subject to always show up for them, you can enter that as well. The plus sign, just like any other of our grids, will add a line, and the minus sign will delete one. Down at the bottom, you also have the option to create an order, create a dispatch, or open a work order. And this does what you do here, add it to the regular email addresses table in the system. Any questions about that? I'm going to stop here for a second because it looks like there may be some questions in the question panel. Nope, that just looks like some chatting. All right, I'll go ahead and go on to the next one. The profile screen, there's a lot of information here. Just your basic name and address information is there for that customer, as well as the phone number information down on the right. But what this really is all total sales for that customer. And down in the bottom in the sales volume, it shows you your totals for this month, this year, and calendar prior year, separated out for parts, service, rentals, and equipment or sales. And then you have a grand total at the bottom. The buttons, what those show you is that detail separate and shows you the detailed transactions. So if you go into parts purchase, this is listing everything ever purchased by this customer for parts. Again, you can sort on these columns, and this is the same as your activity history under the inventory control parts, basically, but you're just seeing it for this customer. The search option, if you click on that, is where you can look for specific things, just a certain branch manufacturer part, certain vendor number, certain activity date, things like that. If I put in a manufacturer and part, and you can pick exact or sequel partial, again, it's just going to go find just that particular part number in these records, as you can see here. And just like the other screens, you can export this out to Excel. And I know one of the things that I would have used this for at my dealership, we had a lot of customers that would want to know their total parts for a specific manufacturer, for a specific year. You could find everything for a specific manufacturer in here, put it out to Excel, and of course choose the year in there that you want to look at to create your report. So that's a handy thing that way. Owned, and what this takes you to is the normal MK pop list or machine population list. So everything that's set up in the machine ownership, maintenance, or machine population for this customer will show up here, and you can sort by these. And when you double click on a line here, that takes you to the marketing machine population screen, where if you have that access normally, you can edit information in this screen, and you can also add memo data to that piece of equipment. If you make any changes here, you'll want to click Change. If you hit Cancel, it'll take you back to the previous screen. The next button is Current Rentals. And this just shows you all of the rentals that that customer currently has. And again, you can sort by these columns. If you double-click on a record, that's going to take you to the document display entries for that record. And if you double-click again, that'll show you the actual document. If you go to memo data, what this is the memo notes that were entered for that customer through the memo data in the credit customer credit analysis. So any of your collection notes, that's what would show up here. And if you go into sales volume, this is really a combination of everything. This first column is the type. So like the types are normally throughout the system, you know, E for equipment, P for parts, R for rentals. Your 3s are miscellaneous, and 2s are labor, and 1s are parts. So this is really your total sales volume for this month for each, you know, manufacturer, or if you're looking like at this record, it's for this particular labor code, and then this year and calendar prior year. Also from this screen, you can create an order or a dispatch or open a work order. Does anybody have any questions on that screen? Okay, it doesn't look like it, so I'll go on to the next tab, which is work order history. This defaults when you come into this screen with just the customer number. So if you were to just enter through these fields, the bottom section would pull up everything, all work order history for that customer. But you can also, you know, select a particular equipment ID or model or serial number, any of those available fields, and get just the information that you requested that way. This is the same thing as the service machine maintenance history screen. Again, just an easier way to get to it. Down in the bottom, this behaves the same way in that if you double-click on a closed work order, it will take you to that work order invoice. And if you double-click on an open work order, it's going to take you to the work order inquire for that. Up at the top, you can see it'll show a date that it was opened, closed, the invoice number, and segment amount, because each segment is listed separately in this screen. And you can see down at the bottom, if you've selected a segment that has a work description on it, that'll show up in the bottom. And that work description comes from the work order header, page 2, and that's what shows up here. And then if there's an hour meter entered, that'll be there as well, and it tells you what the application type is for that work order, is general or warranty or scheduled maintenance, so on, and the equipment ID. Zoom will just zoom you in on that document just like we saw a moment ago, and print will let you print that list. And then again, from this screen, you can create an order or a dispatch or open a work order. Any questions? Hi, Bob. Did you have a question?
Hi, this is Jenny.
Hi, Jenny.
Hey, from this screen, why is it when you click on a specific equipment and you want to create a dispatch, why does it not pull the machine information into the work order?
So if you go to, oh, you mean because you selected one here?
What if you just did a serial number specific and then created a dispatch?
You know, I think the only thing it's going to pull from this screen, when you go into the dispatch, I believe it's going to still just take you to the customer number. So is that what your question is why did we have an equipment entered on that other screen and it didn't populate here?
Yeah, I mean, it's machine specific, so why I was wondering why it doesn't pull it in.
It's just not something anybody's ever asked us for, probably. But I'll make a note of it. It's not a bad idea, and I'll check into that and see. Obviously, I'm not a programmer. I don't know how difficult that is to do, but so you would just like to see it if you have a specific piece of equipment entered in the history search. You want it to, when you click on Create Dispatch, you want it to pull that into the equipment identification here, right?
Searching for one, and that's the machine model and serial number you want to open the work order for. I would have thought that it just pulled that information in for you.
You know, Customer Central is relatively new, and we've tried to put everything in there that we can think of, and we know that we'll have some suggestions like that going forward. You know, I don't think it does it for, it doesn't do it for the open work order either, but, you know, because we're selecting information here, that may be possible.
It's just a thought.
It's a good idea. I like it. Now I got to do is talk the programmers into it, right?
Yeah.
So I'll make a note here. I'm jotting this down, and I'll check into that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Brian, did you have a question?
Yeah, it's in reference to the machine, customer machine list. You've got 3 different areas where they list machines, and none of the 3 match. Have they made any, have they done anything to pull those lists together so that there's one master list for all customers?
What screens don't match?
If you go into service, let's see here, machine, let me pull up my own EBS here and I'll find it. If you go into machine ownership maintenance under service, there is one machine list, customer-owned machine list. If you go into marketing machine population inquire, there's another list. And then if you go into marketing customer profile and equipment owned, there's another list. Those lists do not always match. You will have machines listed on one list that's not on another list for the same customer.
I'm not even, to be honest with you, I'm not even sure how that's possible because machine ownership maintenance,
Yes, that's correct.
It's the exact same table as machine population. It all comes from the same exact table.
I would have to research, but I can find you an example where it's not the same. We ran across it yesterday. One of my guys found the machine listed under customer profile machines that was not in machine population because that's where I had looked.
And you're 100% certain that this ship to column matched? Because
I would have to verify, but I believe so, yes. I think there was only one ship to for this customer.
okay, because you know it separates them out by ship to, and so you know obviously you'd have to be looking at the because
right.
For example, if I in this screen if I leave my ship to blank, it's going to show all my 000s and my 001s and whatever else I have. If you type it in specifically, like I said, because it's coming from the exact same table, I'm not sure how this list would ever not exactly match the machine population list or the customer profile because they're all coming from the same table. So if you have one, by all means, you can email me. And I can get into your system and look at it because I'd be really curious to see why that would ever be different.
Okay, I will do that.
Now there is one thing. I don't know if this is related to it or not. There's some columns in here. This is kind of new, where you can mark equipment as active, inactive, unknown, or out of territory. The only thing really that's supposed to do though is if something is marked inactive, you should not be able to open a work order to it. So, you know, I don't know if maybe that has any relation to it or not. But, yeah, definitely if you can find an example and email me. My email address is callen, C-A-L-L-E-N, @ebs-next.com. And I can get in your system and take a look. That would puzzle me just because I know that all of those come from one same table. It's not like it's being stored differently in different tables. So that's unusual.
Okay.
All right. Is that your only question, Brian?
That's it, yep.
All right. Thank you. Let me know. Any other questions? Linda, did you have a question?
I was just going to make a comment on what I think it was Brian was talking about the machines. Would it have anything to do with the location? Like we have a lot of rock quarries, and they have different locations. And sometimes if you go into the individual location, it only shows the machinery for that location.
When you say location, you mean ship tos?
Basically.
And that's what I was getting at. I wondered if when you were in the machine ownership maintenance, again, if it, you know, if you're looking at just the 000 in this screen, or maybe you're looking at all of it in this screen and only one ship to in the other screen, that could make the two different because it is ship to specific. So that may be it. So hopefully, if he has an issue, then hopefully he can get me an email sent over and I can take a look at it. I've not run into that before myself with them being different, just because, like I said, it's all coming from the same table. But I can definitely check that out. Anything else, Linda?
Nope, that's it.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mark, did you have a question?
No, I just unmuted myself.
Okay, thank you. Bob, did you have a question?
No, I did not. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to go on to the next screen, which was open dispatches. And what this takes you to is the open dispatch log for just this customer. So again, you can see what you normally see in the dispatch log. And again, you can sort by the columns, and you can tell, you know, which column they're sorted by. And you have some of the same options in this screen that you do the dispatch log, as in you can look at just your shop, field, or PMs, or any combination of the three. You can print a dispatch sheet from here. If you have access to close work orders, you can also get to the $$ from here. And if you go into PM, if you have access to the PM calendar, you can get to that from here as well. If you have access to get to show checklist, which is the service technician checklist when you're using field service, you could get to that from here. And I don't think you guys are using that at this point. The other option you have here is to filter. So if I just wanted to look at all of the dispatches for a specific technician, I could do that. Or you could also look for a specific ship to for this customer. So it pulls in the main customer number, but you can sort by ship to here. So that's just a way to filter your dispatches. And then from this screen, again, you can create an order or a dispatch or open a work order. If you double-click on a record in this screen, that's going to take you to the same place it does when you do a double-click from the dispatch log, where you can, you know, add the technician. If the work order is not open yet, you can select open work order and add, change a billing reference, any of that, and get to the site notes and customer notes and things like that. Again, just like you can from dispatch. And if you go into view work order, it takes you to the work order inquire screen. And then canceling out will take you back to this screen. Any questions about that? Mark, did you have a question?
No.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'll go on to the next tab, which is rentals, and this is actually probably my favorite thing because this is something we haven't had in the past, which allows us to see rental history for a customer. When you go into this screen, if you select orders, this is showing all of your open rental orders. And again, you can sort, by your dates or anything here. If you double-click on an order, it'll take you to document display where you can go view the rental order itself. If you go into quotes and you double-click on the quote, it takes you to document display where you can see the estimate, a rental estimate that you've created. If you go into reservations, this is just like going to the reservation search in the order entry menu, where you can either double-click on the record to open it up, or you can click once and click the Activate Contract button. And this is going to take you back to order entry, where you can go ahead and create this rental order instead of a reservation and invoice it or whatever you need to do there. But what I like the best is the history, which this is your total rental invoice history for this customer. Again, this is one that you, may want to create a report and put it out to Excel. So you can just click on a record down at the bottom. Again, you can sort these, however you want. And if you double-click on a record, that's going to take you to document display where you can double-click again and see the invoice for that. That's a total rental history. And then from this screen, you can also create an order or a dispatch or open a work order. And the only other option is, again, when you're in reservations, it adds the Activate Contract button. Any questions about that? Okay, the next option is credit analysis. And this takes you to the credit analysis summary that's normally on the credit menu. And again, you have your customer information at the top with their account total and credit limit and their phone numbers. And you can do your totaling here by invoice or due date, just like in those screens. It comes in on summary, meaning basically your open items. You can also choose detail, which is everything. When you're in the summary mode, of course, it shows you over here in the multiple column if there's multiple entries that make up that total. So in other words, if payments have been made and dollars are still due on it, you can see that as well. When you double-click on an entry, oops, I picked an old one. When you double-click on an entry, that'll take you to the invoice. And then over on the left, you have the same options you have in the credit menu where you can look at prior balances, that shows you your days to pay, any memo data for that customer. Any rental invoices can be separated out, as well as work order history. Your total sales volume. You can get some more customer info, which is some basic information that's in the customer master, like credit information. And if you're purging your AR, you can also get AR history detail. I probably do. The show status summary is if you're using that option through credit to mark invoices as disputed or anything like that, you can see that as well. And then also from this screen, you can create an order or a dispatch or open a work order. Any questions about that? Okay, the next tab is credit release authorization. And again, this is an item that if you didn't normally have access to, give those authorization numbers, you wouldn't be able to do it here. But if you do, you can go straight to this screen, and it's the same exact screen where you enter the amount that was requested and authorized and any comments. And just like the other screen, you can see, what their aging is basically and the customer information and phone number. And this can also be totaled by invoice date or due date. Any questions on this screen? Okay, and the last one is the pricing or parts inquiry. This is the same thing as the pricing inquiry from the inventory control parts menu. It defaults with, of course, that customer's information. So when you look up a part in here, you know that you're getting the pricing, specific to that customer. And of course, it shows you the tax excluded or included, and if there's a discount percentage, how many have on hand and on stock order, how many have on hand in other branches, bin locations, alternate part numbers, and that all shows up here. And then down in the bottom, you'll see all the branches listed separately. And then you have some options for looking at information here. If there's super sessions, which of course you can see in the sub-super button. Full display, memo data, if there's any, which is also in the button. Or you can go to the next part number. Your memo data, of course, memo button takes you to the memo data. And sub-super takes you to any replaced part information. If you double click on that, it will actually change the part number here just like it does in the other screen. And then down at the bottom, again, you can create an order, dispatch your work order from here. I believe that's it, so I'm going to open it up. If anybody has any questions about anything related to the Customer Central, you can raise your hand. In the meantime, I'm going to check again here to make sure there's no typed questions that I've missed. Yeah, John, I agree. I liked the idea that Jenny had as well. Okay, I don't see any questions there. And let's see. Got one up here. Michael, did you have a question?
Yes. This is Dennis. I had a question regarding the marketing tab that you were on earlier and the customer info. You show the salesman relative to the customer, but on the marketing tab, you don't show, to the right. Client Master Inquire, go to the, up again if you would please. Marketing.
Client Master Inquire.
Inquire, right.
Sorry, I'm getting a little bit of
That's okay.
breaking up a little bit, so I'm having a hard time telling.
That's all right.
What was the question here?
Typically, we show the PSSR that's related to that particular customer. Where on your central, where does it show that information? I didn't see any of the PSSR information. It showed salesman, but no PSSR. Where would we locate that?
Well, we really don't have a there's not a separate control file for PSSRs from sale reps.
Okay.
Which would be why you're not seeing
why
that
we're not
there.
seeing it. Okay. Now, on our screens under this system, would it be indicated on there though? On our screens that relative to us.
I'm assuming, don't you guys, I'm guessing you probably have your PSSRs entered as sales
Yes.
reps, and you would see their numbers where you would normally see sales reps.
Okay, that's fine. That was just.
I don't know that for a fact because I don't know in your data if that's how you're set up, but because it's all one place that it's done, that's what I'm guessing. So you might look for that.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Any other questions? Jahan?
Yeah, I think we're good, Kathy. I just wanted to say thank you and thanks everyone for taking an hour of your day. I know it's Monday, so I appreciate you guys taking an hour of your day today. I know you're busy. Also, we're going to do the same exact training on Customer Central in a couple of weeks. I just have to hear back from EBS on exactly when that's going to be. So if you guys have any follow-up questions and you want to follow them, you're more than welcome to. Also, I think next week is the training on service dispatch. And that's also a very good tool, especially for our service departments. So we'll see you all then.
All righty. Thank you, Jahan. Let me know if you need anything, and I'll get back with you on my schedule on that doing another dispatch in a couple of weeks.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.